Hello, everyone. We're delighted to welcome you to this session of ACB Connects. We extend a special warm welcome to everyone who is joining us for the first time and for all our international guests. I'm Gail Brechting, President-elect of ACB, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this discussion titled A Spotlight on the Naxos Music Library. We're especially excited to be welcoming Mr. John Sells from Naxos of America, Inc., and Sarah Mcelfresh from ACB. They will be discussing the numerous features and benefits that are included in this educational streaming database. ACB Connects is sponsored by the Association of Concert Bands, an international nonprofit organization whose mission is to foster excellence in concert band music through performance, education, and advocacy. Our membership includes community concert bands, band directors, individual members, and corporate members. Everyone who cares about concert bands is welcome to become a member. Today's session is presented as a service to our members and as an outreach for the music community. Before introducing today's guests, we have a few housekeeping items. For optimal audio, everyone except the presenters has been muted. Today's sessions will be recorded and will be archived along with previous sessions that can be accessed from the ACB Connects page on our website. It will also be rebroadcast on Global Bandroom at a future time. And finally, if you have any questions or comments, please share these in the chat. While we can't guarantee a response to everything that's posted, as many questions as time permits will be addressed. So now, it is my pleasure to introduce our first guest, Mr. John Sells. John is a music industry graduate from Middle Tennessee State University and has been working with Naxos of America, Inc. since 2018. He handles all U.S. international subscriptions and provides patrons with Naxos online libraries, a collection of educational music streaming resources. As a founding member of Music City Brass Ensemble, John enjoys playing French horn and making music in a variety of ways, both in performance and recording. Our second speaker is Sarah Michalek. Sarah is the National Membership Chair, the ACB Webmaster, and the Chair of the Young Composers Composition Contest. She currently plays euphonium with the Peninsula Concert Band in the Hampton Roads region of Virginia. She has been involved with community bands in several states for almost 40 years, having started by carrying a banner in parades at a young age, even before she was a musician. Sarah also founded the Heart of Virginia Community Band in Central Virginia with her husband, Scott. Our moderator today is Nancy Michalek. Nancy is the chair of the ACB Connects committee and the editor of our fine ACB Journal. Now, it is my pleasure to turn the program over to our moderator, Nancy Michalek.
Thank you, Gail. We're entering the 5th year of our partnership, and we want everyone to know what a great benefit Naxos is. John, it's good to see you again.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you here. I guess you're going to walk us through some of the features and give us a demonstration of some of the most popular features.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to sharing what I get to work with every day and use through college, and hopefully we can all see some new things and get pumped about what Naxos Music Library has to offer.
That's great. Thank you. Please go ahead and share your information.
Sure thing. I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Bear with me one second.
Okay, while we're waiting, I just want to remind everybody that if you have questions, you can put them in the chat session. We did get a few questions ahead of time that we'll be sure that we get addressed, but you can go ahead and use the chat if you like.
All right. Is my screen viewable?
Yes, looks good.
All right. Well, here's some contact information here on the first page of this PowerPoint should you need it to reach out to me. I'm probably a good first option for contact. We also have a customer support team that can help me with some of the things that are beyond my abilities as far as technical things go. So start with me and I'll get it to the right people if you ever need it. So let's take a look at Naxos Music Library. We'll view a couple key items of information that I think is good for us all to know. As of, I guess this past week, I saw that there was actually over 2.4 million tracks currently on Naxos. That number grows so quickly that this PowerPoint I made about a month ago is already out of date. So over 2.4 million tracks on the Naxos Music Library. There's a handful of educational tools built in that I'll definitely go over on a demo here shortly. There's playlist abilities for you to make your own, whether you're a professor or students that have access can create their own as well. There's also already made playlists from us and our curation team with themes like happy or sad or things you would hear in movies. There's also different playlists already made for like French horn, choir, orchestral favorites, things like that. So there's, as far as exploring, that is a great place to start, checking out those previously curated playlists. We also have mobile apps for Apple and Android, which pretty much covers all mobile types of devices that are out there. That gives you the ability to listen, find your playlists, create playlists from the mobile apps as well, all from your pocket. We have an advanced keyword search, which is, in the world of classical music and music in general, there's a lot of aspects to recordings that you may want to look at or search for. There's lyricists, there's composers, there's arrangers, there's the artists. And each of those things are linkable and findable through this advanced keyword search. So that's really helpful if you're looking for something very specific or just want to find something from a certain era. Whatever you want, that advanced search tab will help a lot. Also for, if you have this as an individual subscription, there's usage statistics that show how often it's logged into, how often it's streamed, and things like that. There's a couple of different offering levels. The standard option is 128 kilobytes per second. And then there's a premium offering, which is CD quality of 320 kilobytes per second. And then lastly, there's shareable static URLs. So if you're trying to quickly access a certain song or a playlist or an album, you can take the link directly from any of those items and copy it into a syllabus or an email or whatever you'd want, and just click it and be able to go straight to that. So this is what ACB members have access to, the Naxos Music Library. Real quickly, I'll just go through some of the other things we have should you be interested for your own programs or bands or whatever. We also have a jazz library, which is built on the same platform as Naxos Music Library. It has pretty much all the same features, just focused primarily on jazz. And we have over 208,000 tracks there. We have a world music library as well. And this one may be a little bit more unique in the fact that world music for the longest time was just shared, orally through different cultures. Parents would sing it to their kids would sing it to their kids. It wasn't really notated the same way that classical music or jazz is. So a lot of the recordings we have are the original, or not original, but the first time we get to hear these. If you aren't able to travel to Africa or Asia or any of these different places. So this is really a good collection of 155,000 tracks and more. We have a video library that focuses on performing arts like ballet, opera. There's concerts recorded. There's operas with subtitles and libretti and everything included so that you can watch, and often multiple languages available as well. We have a spoken word library, which is an audiobook platform that focuses on the classics and is growing bigger and bigger with more titles being added all the time. We have a works database which pairs along with Naxos Music Library really well. I don't know why that keeps skipping. It is a database of information, really, from composer bios and in-depth information about works, but also about programming. So if you're looking for a piece that has just brass, you could search for brass arrangements, or you can find information on how many flutes are in this particular piece. So it's just got a lot of good information for finding out about works that are written and different composers and their periods that they wrote them in. So this is a good pairing to Naxos Music Library. And lastly, we have our sheet music library, which our partners with the sheet music library have just updated the site, so it looks fresher. Everything works a little smoother. There's over 40,000 works, and there is a built-in transposer. So any of the sheet music that's available is able to be transposed to whatever key you'd like. So say you find a flute piece, want to transpose it for the French horn. It's just as simple as picking the right key and hitting go, and it'll transpose it for you. So that's a cool one. And just recently, this past year, we released a new program that's geared towards kids. K through 6-ish is the target range, and that's Naxos Music Box, and it's kind of a exploration of the classical genre for kids to click through, and there's a teacher portal where elementary school teachers or younger age ranges can be led through some of these things with activities and quizzes and stuff like that. There's also a student portal where students can go in and access these quizzes themselves. And so that's just one of our new offerings that is fresh and aimed at kind of a new age group. And so that's all that we have when you hear Naxos online libraries. That is the collection of online libraries. But our biggest and most popular one is definitely the Naxos Music Library for classical, and that is what you have access to as an ACB member. So let's dive in to some of those features I was talking about, the playlists and the resources, and give you a hands-on look as to what you can see and access here. Did the screen share move to the library? Can anyone confirm that? I know sometimes it stays on.
It's not.
Okay, let me move. There we go. All right, so this is the home page of Naxos Music Library. The banner here at the top just scrolls through with various information, talking about the apps or the different collections we offer, as well as shortcuts for the player. And then here you'll see it'll just circle through featured albums, new releases, things that are constantly being fed into our ever-growing library. Navigation is on the left here. You can go through all of these tabs for exploring. Up at the top, it'll have your account information, logout, ability to select a language that is offered here, and then an accessibility tab. And some of the features here for accessibility are the ability to zoom in and zoom out should that be needed. This provides a contrasted cursor that's a little bit bigger, and the yellow really sticks out over the kind of the main theme color of blue here. And then there is this feature that pinpoints where your cursor is so that you can find it easier should you need that. And those are the options we have right now. So that kind of, oh, and then we have the advanced search tab here in the top right of the screen and the search bar itself. So both of these are where you can go to make general searches or the more specific advanced search. And we'll look at that a little further down. So that's the basic layout of the website. Let's dive into some of these tabs over here. So the home screen is this. New and News is where you will be able to see albums added very recently. So you can click and see albums that were added the 5th of January through the 11th, which the list is just huge. There's so many albums constantly added. I think it would be impossible to listen to all of them. There's just so much. But that, I mean, you're always going to be able to find what you're looking for here. So this is just recent editions. You can look at brand new releases with information on the album, what's included, the names of the composers or artist or group playing, and they're sorted by label here or category. And one thing you're going to find, if you haven't noticed already, is that everything is sorted and there's so many different things to click on, and every aspect of every album is linkable, and you can just find any bit of information typically just by clicking on it, which is really helpful. Lastly is this news column. This shows new labels that are incorporated into Naxos Music Library. So just from this year, January, we've already added 2 labels into the database, which they may give us a dozen albums, they may give us 100 albums. It just depends on what they have and how we've worked out the licensing with them. So that one of the questions I had seen submitted was how would we get music on there? Can we just submit our own music? The way we get music on is to work with the record label and one of the owners of Naxos Music Library would be contacted, and we would determine if that would be a good addition to the library. And then should that be the case, then we would begin an ingestion with our musicology team to get all the information in and get everything to where it would look good, and we'd add it. So that is how music is added there. All right, so that's our home screen, and then the new and news. Let's go down to the people tab. Now, people is composers and artists, pretty much all that sums up. They're filtered alphabetically here in both composers and artists, but you also have the ability to search. So should you not want to scroll through everything, you can just search for it, and it'll bring up your results here. Clicking on any of the artist names or composer names will take you to their page, their artist page, composer page, which will then show you all that is on Naxos Music Library that they have been a part of. And you'll be able to see the album title, the label, categories, and catalog number. So lots of sorting, lots of lists, lots of labels that just help you narrow down what you're looking for. Because classical music is such a wide genre. There's been so much written and composed and studied since it's been around. All right, moving down to the categories page. This is just another way to just browse through the library here. You can look for orchestral pieces, concertos, operas, instrumental, any of these selections. And of course, each one is going to bring such a large amount of results. I'll click on the wind ensemble and band music, and you can see there's 149 pages of however many is on this list of just wind band recordings and albums. So that's another great way to browse. A lot of these top few categories are just in relation to browsing through the site. We'll look at another one here, labels. So we work with probably over 800 different labels and include their music in here. A lot of the big ones like Sony, Deutsche Grammophon are included, GIA, Windworks, Publications. We have just a plethora of labels to choose from. The recordings all represented here on Naxos Music Library. And the Naxos label itself has quite a few breakdowns here that you can look through and search for. Let's take a look at the resources now. So you've seen a lot of these ways to browse through. If you're going on with not necessarily anything specific in mind, you just want to look for some music by a certain label, by a certain artist or composer. This is just a good way to do that, a little browsing. So we'll move to the resources. Now I think this is what sets Naxos apart from so many different music streaming sources, where most of them have the music available for listening. Naxos provides an educational touch to it as well. So we'll just quickly dive into each of these offerings and just give you a look at what it can do. So the musical dictionary is something that is extremely helpful. When I was taking my private lessons through college on horn, there were so many different languages and terms that would come up that I really didn't know. And if I ever procrastinated and didn't look them up and got into a lesson and my professor said, so are you going to play like it is instructing you to? And I would say, I don't know what it means. I would get grilled so bad and kicked out of the lesson, and she would hand me a dictionary and tell me to go find all my terms. So I quickly discovered that this was a tool that I needed to have in my back pocket. And so you can search A to Z, you can search by the word itself. Let's look for something here. So not only is this going to show you definitions, but it provides examples as well. So pizzicato is plucked. Pizzicato is created by plucking the strings of an instrument such as a violin. So there's a really long description here about what it is, also giving you examples of music that are all linked in blue so that you can click on them and head to that album in Naxos Music Library. You can also come down and see notation examples of what it would look like in a piece of music. And then they have just some audio clips, not the entire album itself, that would show you just a brief example of what pizzicato is. And should you want, you can click on the album and go straight to the album and listen to the whole thing. So the dictionary is much more than just a term definition type of dictionary. There's visual examples as well as audio examples. So the dictionary is very helpful for research and just learning music. So let's take a look at this next one, the musicology resource. Now this is a rather new resource that was put onto Naxos Music Library, I believe last year in 2020. So this is sort of a, I don't know, like a blog site where you're able to come in and listen to what people, musicologists from around the world, have written about and studied, and like essays, their periodicals about different things in music. So you have people talking about their musical opinions, different encounters, essays, editorials. This is just a way to hear what people are talking about around the world when it comes to music and the study of music and history and different aspects of it. So this is a great place to see that stuff. Next, we'll look at an oral training resource that also was recently added, I think, towards the end of 2019, if not early 2020. So this is a place where you can come and work on oral abilities when it comes to music. So that is how sounds are played from instruments, different ideas like tonality or texture or timbre. When you're learning music from the beginning, a lot of these things are really helpful to learn in figuring out what music sounds like or how it's supposed to be. And this is a really cool way for you to practice that and test yourself and increase your skill. So there's exercises where it will play a sample and you write down an answer, what you think, and then at the end you'll be given what it was. So here's a couple examples. Describe the meter of this music. It would play a little sample and you would say if it's 3/4, 4/4, 6/8, something like that. Describe the texture of this music, the tempo. So this is just a cool way, and it goes in levels. So this first level would obviously be more for beginner levels if you're teaching, and then it goes all the way up to a level 8. There's dictation, rhythm, and melody as well. So this is a cool place to play around, increase your skill with oral abilities, and teach younger students or just get better yourself. Next, we have a work analysis section where various pieces that have been studied throughout history that are really important in turning points in musical eras are here. This was one of the most important pieces that I studied when I was in my music theory courses in college, was Symphony No. 3 by Beethoven. Our professor was very passionate about it, and that helped us to be really interested in learning about it. And looking back at these work analyses just brings back so many memories and floods of information that I forgot that I had. But these come from our various people that have done these, and our musicology team will go through them, make sure they're accurate and appropriate, and we are able to put these on. So there's background and overview information, analysis of the theory of the music, talking about themes, development, transitions, all sorts of really good information. Now, unfortunately, we don't have work analysis for all 2.4 million of the recordings that we have, but we do have a handful. And you can see a lot of these here by composer on this list here. So this, while the level 1 of the oral training may be for kind of an entry level, this really gets further into the higher education, more advanced learning that is available here. All right, moving down, we have these guided tours through the various musical eras. These are kind of a chronological look at composers, what they brought to the era, what they brought to classical music, what set it apart from the various eras. And it provides some suggested listening as well. So you can listen to various composers through these eras and learn about them and just figure out what they were, how they were different, and how they progressed music. We also have a few study guides from countries around the world from their music programs. So kind of looking at teaching resources here of how to teach and learn music. So we have it for North America, we have Australia, Ireland, South Korea, United Kingdom, and we incorporate those as we get them and as they're acquired. And so it's very likely that more will be added throughout time. but those are really helpful if you're a new teacher trying to figure out ways to get started, just some general basis of where to kick off. Moving down, we have a junior section with a few entry-level tools for younger kids, younger groups, younger bands that teach the story of classical music. This is a more interactive version that gives you different things you can click on and look at, and just a few more things with children's music and classical music, things that will help young minds to be interested in classical music without maybe overwhelming them with musical eras and work analysis like that. All right, focusing on opera here, we have a handful of libretti or the text that go with operas, as well as synopsis, so information about these operas and the characters in them and their vocals. So that is just a little brief section just focusing on opera that is included here. We have pronunciation guides for artists, composers, and musical terms that will play back, give you audio of what these are supposed to sound like, just because with classical music coming from all over the world, there's so many different languages represented and accents and pronunciations, and they are very important to the artist and to the composers, and so we thought it appropriate to provide this as a resource. And then lastly here we have some graded music exam playlists for just a few places around the world. OMEA is the Ontario Music Education Association, just for you to go through and use at your discretion. So these are the resources and educational tools that are in this section. On the various composers pages, when we go back, I'll go back to this tab here, and we'll look here at, Mozart. So this isn't represented in the resources tab, but it is on each composer's page. If we have a good bit of information, we'll include it here, just as a little biography about composers. Some of them have these cool caricatures on them. So this is also another educational tool that is really helpful when learning about different composers and their place in their musical eras. And while we're here, I'll go ahead and show this. When you click on a composer or an artist, like I did before with the artist, it shows all the pieces they have represented on Naxos Music Library. Well, with composers, it's the same thing. And you'll see there's this Adagio and Allegro that has the original right here, which is an instrumental piece, but then you'll see all these various arrangements for it, for chamber music, for orchestral, wind band, all these different representations of this piece are sorted out here. And clicking on them will take you to the work, which may or may not have a work analysis or information at the top. This one shows the year composed, publishers, duration, etc. And then you can see each available recording that is on Naxos Music Library here. All right, so we've seen the educational resources that are included with Naxos Music Library. And we'll move on probably to the next most important aspect, I think, is the playlisting. So I mentioned at the beginning that there are already created playlists here for choral music, educational, film and TV. You can find playlists curated for specific instruments. Kids, opera, symphonies, wind band music. There's a lot to kind of start. And if you're looking to program a concert and you want to look at some wind band music, well, here's some playlists that are put together for you that you can listen in the background of your day or while you're driving, and just hear some things, and maybe one will pop out to you or something like that. So these are some of the more directed at like instrumentation and style and instruments individually. And then we moved over to this theme playlist, which is really a popular way that music is being shared and put out there, especially on some of the popular music platforms like Spotify, Apple Music. They all have a chill playlist or a happy mood playlist or frustrated or exercising. And so we've put together some in that manner. So an exercise and explore playlists, have a happy day playlists, study time, relax, kick back, take it easy. So these are just some based on moods, something you may want to listen to in the background of your day or while you're at home, while you're working. Depending on your mood, you could pick through some of these playlists. But as a member of ACB, you can create your own member playlist, which would be part of the ACB account, but you would be able to have your own playlists that aren't in a shared capacity, but it's just for you. You could have them on your mobile app, on your iPads, on your iPhones, and be able to access the playlist that you've created. Creating a playlist is easy. You can either start it from in this tab, the playlist tab. You can have folders of playlists. So if you have specific categories that you want to separate, you can do it that way. You can create a playlist here, but that would just create the playlist itself. Adding the music is done when you're actually on the albums themselves. So we'll pick a couple albums and we'll create a test playlist just so you can see what it looks like and get an idea of what you can do. All right, so let's pick, here's a good one, an album of John Philip Sousa, Music for Wind Band. Let's see, so you want to add the first 3 tracks to a new playlist. So you can click these radio buttons here to select them, and then you'll see a few icons over here. Hit this plus button to add to a playlist. Like I said, you can start the creation of the playlist on the last tab, or you can start one here. So I'll do it on my playlist tab. I'm going to add a new folder for Sousa playlists. And I'm going to save that. It will create it in the system. Then I will click that. Playlist, there's none there, so I couldn't add to a current playlist, so I'll create a new playlist. And I'm going to name the playlist Sousa again. The author and remarks is really not necessarily necessary unless you are on a shared account where your playlist would be in the same place as other people's playlists. So just for this sake, I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm going to save. And at the same time, it'll create the folder, it'll create the new playlist, and it will add those 3 tracks that I added to the playlist. And then from there on, any track you want, click it, hit the plus button. We'll go to my Sousa list. Now that they're already there, there's no creation, and I'll just save it to the playlist and it'll go right there. All right, now I go to the playlist tab, and you can do this on your mobile app as well. Here's my Sousa folder. Here is my Sousa playlist. If I click on it, it'll show me all the tracks listed, or I can just hit the play button. It'll bring me to the player and begin playing. So here we are at the player. It used to be a separate window that would pop out, but now it's built onto the same page, which is really helpful. You have the tracks here in your playlist. You have your controls down here at the bottom of the screen. You can progress as you would any streaming thing. You have volume that you can control from here, as well as what your computer or mobile device will do. While you're listening, you can skip around. You can continue to add to your playlist, and it will just add it to the queue. This playlist is not the only thing that can be in the play queue, so you can add, while you're listening to your music, you can add something from a totally different album to the play queue, which is this CD button with a little line beside it. So add that, and it'll just put it at the end of the list, and it will eventually get to it. So you're in the player, you're listening. Maybe you had a playlist playing, and it's playing in the player, and it brings up a new piece that you hadn't heard before. Well, you're browsing around. You just click this button here on the right to pull your player back open, see what's playing, and then you can hit your info button here on the right and go right to the information about this work, which is a page we've been to before. It'll show you all the recordings that are available on Naxos Music Library, and you'll be able to just begin your dive into learning about the piece or finding more recordings of it. So like I said, almost every bit of information is linkable. So you can jump around however you just desire to, by artist, by composer, by label. So that's a really big feature that's really helpful. So CDs, when you pick up a CD at the store, if anyone ever does that anymore, for my favorite bands, I still like to get their hard CDs. But one of the things you notice is the artwork, the front cover. You look at the information booklet to read about the group or the artist or the pieces. Well, for probably the majority of the albums that are on Naxos Music Library, we offer those in PDF form. So on this album here of Brechting Cello Suites, you'll see a couple of PDF booklet and a back cover image. So clicking on the booklet will take you right in to the CD booklet. So you can learn more about the pieces. A lot of people put composer or work notes about the piece, or notes about the composer or the artist. So just another way to grab some more information from Naxos Music Library. Let's see here. All right.
John, this is Nancy.
Yes.
How often are new playlists created?
We try to keep them updated yearly. Like a lot of the themed playlists, we will go through and put new music to that fits the theme. But overall, new playlists, maybe every couple of years. I don't think we've done one since I did a few of the new playlists when I started, and that was kind of one of my roles when I got here, was to curate new playlists. But since then, we haven't really done too many new ones.
Okay,
But
I was just wondering if we check back periodically, will we see new ones? I know ACB is creating new ones, but I didn't know if Naxos was.
yeah, we haven't done very many new ones lately, but we have worked with a few schools or artists themselves who have suggested, hey, I teach violin and I have a lot of violin playlists I've created. Would that be something that you would be able to share in the Naxos Music Library playlists? And we encourage that greatly, because coming from people that are actually out there teaching lessons and listening to music and performing, that's what's important and what's new and what's fresh. So we definitely do encourage people to submit their playlists to us so that they can be added.
Okay, sorry to derail you. I had a lot of questions here about playlists. So when you get finished, maybe we can come back to that.
Sure. Well, I haven't quite left the playlist era. I did jump around a little bit just because of where the links led me. But I'll address some of those playlist questions right now. I think I have a few of them at least right here in front of me. So how can I create my own playlist? We went through that. Another one is, can I import or export a personal playlist? So you can't import or export the actual audio files themselves, but if you're trying to move it from one folder to another, one account to another, there is an ability to export and import them that way. So you don't have to go back through and re-find everything and re-playlist everything. And I'll show you that real quick here on this page. So say I want to export this. I put this in the wrong folder. It needs to go in my favorites folder. I can select this playlist and I'll export it. And I'll export the playlist. It'll create an XML file and save it to my computer. Then the next step would be to bring it back into my favorites folder. That's where I wanted it to be in the first place. So I will import it. I'll select my file. It'll go into my playlists and then my favorites. It'll import. I got the message it was imported. Oops. And it didn't work this time, but that is the process for that. And I think it didn't show any of the tracks this first time. So
okay, this may go along with the playlist questions, but if I create a playlist that's just for me, can I share my playlist with other members?
Yes, absolutely. And that is going back to the one of the features I did in the PowerPoint was the static link. So pretty much any song or album or playlist has its own static URL. And so what you would do, in your playlist, you want to share this favorite symphonies playlist with some members. You'll show the static URL and it'll just bring this link up, which you can copy and paste. And then a member would just have to click the link and it would pull up this specific playlist for them. And you can do that, like I said, with any track. Just click this show static URL, which is this common link icon. You can share the link for this 3-movement piece. You can share the link for just 1 movement, or up here at the top is for the entire album. So playlists, works, movements of works, albums are all able to be shared with these static links.
Okay, so just to confirm, there are playlists that have been created by Naxos that are available for everyone to use. Then there are playlists that have been created within the ACB account that anybody in ACB can play, and I have listed those in the chat session. And then I, as a person, can create a playlist that's just things that I want.
Right.
Can you show us how members create their own member accounts through ACB to make their own playlists?
Yes, I sure can. Let me let me get logged in as an ACB member, and I'm going to stop to share my screen here, and I will pull this up.
Okay. While I'm waiting for you to do that, I would like to mention that there have been a few questions in the chat about what we actually have available to us through our ACB membership. And Tom Rotundi is on the call. He is our liaison person with Naxos. So I'm going to invite Tom to chime in here at any point during the rest of your presentation if he wants to clarify what's available to ACB members.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
So Nancy and John, for ACB, just for ACB members, we just have access to the Naxos Music Library.
Mhm.
If individuals want to have access to any of the other online libraries, those are available individually to them, but at an additional cost. They would have to go to the Naxos website themselves and sign up and pay for it themselves. Is that correct, John?
That is correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Or reach out to me or my colleague Nick, the customer service team, and we'll get that rolling.
Great.
All right.
And then I'll probably address, there have been some questions about whether organizations have this capability, ACB bands themselves, and the answer is no. When we first went ahead and signed a contract with Naxos 4 or 5 years ago, ACB really could not afford the full institutional cost for the online libraries. So we negotiated with Naxos to provide it to a smaller group of people, which are kind of like individual memberships. So it's individual, student, family, and life members. And because we wanted to provide our members a benefit that didn't cost them anything extra. And so ACB signs a contract at a very good price to provide this service to those individual memberships that we just talked. So they are not available to bands. Obviously, if we see or we feel there's an interest in bands to want to have this service, then I can certainly start discussions with John. But what I would think, it would be an additional cost to each one of those organizations to do that.
Yeah. All right, let's see.
Okay, sorry to derail you there, John.
No worries.
Are you back online now?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time getting logged in here. Let me see. All right, so I will do this I can't quite get logged into the ACB account, but I will do this with another account just to show what this is supposed to look like. It'll just, with ACB, it'll say Association of Concert Bands at the top versus, so I'm logged in with the Middle Tennessee, where I went to college, login as a member. And so here, let me share my screen now. All right, so we're back here at the main page. This is where you would get to as an ACB member. And when you go to the playlist tab as a member, you have an option up here, a student or member account login or sign up. So getting signed up is just click the button. You'll be asked to give first, last name, enter your email address, and then create a password. This will become your new login information, your email address, and then the password you create. You will receive an email with a confirmation that with most account creations, that's something that comes. Once you get that email and confirm your account, you'll now be able to, you can either log in from the main page of just going to naxosmusiclibrary.com and logging in there, or you can log in as you did before with your ACB link, and then come here to where it says student member login, sign up, and just sign in here. And you would have your playlist would then show up here. So that's how you create a member account. And then you can also use that. So you can use that on the website here or on a mobile app. that would become your mobile app password and username.
So John, Tom here. So let me just clarify that. So for individuals that want to make their own playlists, they first have to sign up as a member, a new member account over here in the upper right-hand corner.
Mhm.
And then they'll make up their own user ID and password.
Right.
And then they sign in as that member.
Mhm.
You log in that thing right next to the setup. You log in as a member, as your new member, separate member, and then you can make your own playlist.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Now the login itself will still be part of the Association of Concert Bands account, just for user levels and whatnot. But it'll have its own. No one else will be able to access your playlists. It'll be kind of like your own private portal within the account.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I think in the interest of time, I've got a couple more questions that I want to ask, and I think, Tom, you may have a couple more you want to ask as well. Is it possible that I could add recordings to Naxos Music Library, or if I want something added, do I contact you to make the arrangements to have it added?
Yes. You cannot. Sorry. No, you cannot add your own music. Yes, you would contact me to get that started. And
Okay, thank you.
It usually, like I said earlier about labels, it usually starts with labels and where the album is in terms of which label owns it, and then we will work through the relationship we have with the label.
Okay, and how are composer biographies submitted and managed? Is this crowdsourced like Wikipedia, or do you have somebody on staff that is continually updating them?
Yeah, we have a team of musicologists that work on updating this information and finding good sources for that, and that is the team that puts that in.
Okay, so a composer who wanted to have some of their information updated would contact you.
Yeah, that'd be the right place to start. Yeah.
Okay. Tom, did you have other questions?
I don't have any other questions, but I would like to at least tell our members that this is a really great deal. If you as an individual had to pay for this yourself, it would cost you about $210 a year. Is that right, John?
Yeah, that's a single user price. Yeah.
That's a single user price, and for the cost of your membership, you're getting it for nothing. So with, thanks to Naxos for negotiating with ACB and giving the ACB organization a really good price, that we can absorb that cost through the association and provide that membership and provide that benefit to our membership for free. So it's just a really good deal.
Yeah, if you have not used it, there's just so much that you can explore and find, and it's if you're needing somewhere to start with, if you're looking for pieces for a concert, or if you're just interested in just studying about classical music, it's just a playground of exploration that you can have with Naxos Music Library. And
even student membership, ACB student memberships, $15 a year. Yeah. They've got access to this whole library.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great tool.
John, we had a question from someone, and I don't completely understand it, but it says, can you bring back the old NML interface as an option?
Okay. Yeah, we did. Last year, we kind of had it side by side running with the new one and the old one, as we were making sure all settings and features were being solidified. This past year, we did retire the old one. Depending on the case, we may be able to. I'd have to talk to the developers on that. That's not something I necessarily deal with one-on-one, but it's possible, but I just don't know. But you can get my email address and shoot me an email, and we'll get in contact with the right people.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
I had one question about the mobile app. I find it's really nice to listen to when I'm out for a walk or in my car or whatever. But now all these other features that we've talked about today, I don't know if that's available on mobile. Is the mobile app just for the listening?
Yeah, the mobile app is simplified just to the music and playlisting. So you can create playlists and search for the playlists, but that is the extent of what is available. I don't think any of the resources are reachable from the mobile app right now.
Okay, just confirming.
Yep. I did see one of the pre-submitted questions was, can I use the biographical information in NML in my classroom? And that's absolutely where we definitely encourage you to use any of the information included here in Classroom. We've had some teachers ask if they can print off the composer bio and use it as a handout in class, and that's definitely welcomed.
Okay, Tom, can you see the chat question about the username and password changing? We do change it once a year in January.
Yes, Gail. Not Gail. Yes, Nancy.
Nancy.
Yeah, we change it every year during memberships. You know, when you renew your membership, then we send you a new password. But yes, we do change the password once a year. You'll get emails. Sarah has done a really good job of blasting out emails to let you know when it's going to change, but it usually always happens in sometime mid-January.
Thank
you. And while we're talking about that, if for some reason you as a member have problems or can't remember what your user ID or password is for Naxos, just please go ahead and send a note to Sarah or our membership chair or to our secretary, and they'll go ahead and email that to you.
Thank you. John, do you have anything else that you want to mention as we wrap this up?
I don't think so. I think I got through all of the tabs over there on the left. Some of them below where I ended were just repeats of sections that were within other tabs. So I kind of let those be. But I mean, we pointed out each thing that was available. I probably missed something at some point just because there's so much. But again, you have my email address, john.sells@naxosusa.com. Please shoot me a question, shoot me an email. I'll be glad to correct anything that I might have said wrong or clear anything up that needs to be cleared up.
Great. Well, thank you, John and Tom, very much. Really appreciate having you guys on here to answer these questions. We probably need to move on to our second presenter. We've gone quite a bit over time, and that's okay, John, because we really needed to hear from you. So thanks for your time today. We very much appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Nancy. I was happy to be here.
Good. Since we are very short on time, we probably won't be able to go through all of the other ACB benefits that we had intended to cover today, but I would like to let Sarah Mcelfresh have just a few minutes to talk. Sarah is our ACB membership coordinator, and she fields questions on membership benefits on almost a daily basis. So Sarah, if you wouldn't mind coming on the line and just saying a few words for us.
Yeah, so as Nancy said, we had prepared a whole bunch, but we didn't know how long the Naxos presentation was going to go. I have thrown my email address in the chat, actually 2 email addresses that you can reach me at, but they're also on the website. Nancy, could you bring up the slides, even though we aren't going to go through them as planned, but jump to slide 3. And so you can see there's some slides. The website, on the website, we have some charts that describe all the different benefits by membership category. There are some benefits that everybody gets, and there are some that are only for different categories. So what I'm going to do right now is highlight some that you may not be aware of. One of which is the Heritage Encyclopedia of Band Music. The benefit there is that student, individual, family, life, and organizations are able to get access to this for 50% off the usual price. And it's, as it says, it's an encyclopedia. It's another thing that is constantly changing and growing, and something that is really neat. As you can see there, is it already has 4,200 program notes already ready to go. You just search the encyclopedia and you can bring those up, and you can read them and incorporate them into your programs, and you can cross-reference information with the Naxos information and see if there's anything, to combine the two. But there's a lot already ready to go, and again, it's always being updated. If anyone has any questions about benefits, you can throw them into the chat and I'll jump around to those. But Nancy, could you go to the next slide? Something else you may not be familiar with is our Find a Band directory. And this is something that we rolled out in 2016. It is totally optional. So a lot of times I get questions of, I'm not in the Find a Band. And the reason the band might not be there is that you haven't provided us the information on how to do that. So it is a totally optional listing. So elsewhere on our website, we list every single member band. But the way a band can get into the Find a Band directory is by logging into their account. And then on the member landing page, there is a place that says Update Find a Band. And it is also on the members only menu that will appear once you're logged in. And it's a form and you are asked questions. And if you're already in there, whatever's already been entered will appear for you, and you can edit and change things as necessary. A cool thing for all members as well as the general public is if you're looking for a band to play, say you move to a new city, you can go and you can put in your zip code and it will sort the bands by distance. So you can maybe see in the graphic here, I put in Greenville, South Carolina, and the first band that popped up was the Greenville Concert Band in Greenville, South Carolina. And the second band is the Spartanburg Community Band that's 26 miles away. And so I can see right there, the bands are, I can see how far they are from where I am. And I can see what night of the week they rehearse on. So maybe I can see that one's better for me than another. I have that information right there. Then I can go to the website of the band and figure out how to go into the process of joining and becoming a member. And what's kind of neat is it will list all our member bands, so you can see that are participating. So you can see the band that's the farthest from you if you go to the end. But so this has just information at a glance that you can compare bands, and then you can see where you want to start looking to find a new one. And it's also something that places are using to just find bands in their area if they're looking for bands to play a concert series or something. So that is a useful thing. It's a member benefit for member bands, as only organization members can be listed, but it's a benefit for the broader community to be able to find you. So I'm not quite sure what the question in the chat is referring to. If you could expand a little more. But it is only, if I've not answered it exactly, it is only for the bands who are members of ACB as an organization can be listed. So if a band, and when a band hasn't paid their dues, they'll disappear after we've hit a certain date, when we've ended our grace period. So in order to be listed, a band must be a member of ACB. I think
Sarah, maybe a clarification. We have a member directory that's available to all members.
Yes.
You can look up anybody by geography or by name, but the Find a Band is a little bit different because it has information about rehearsal nights and things like that.
Right. And so to access the member directory for all members, you also need to log in, and that information is only available to members, where the Find a Band is separate information that the bands have made public. And so you can have a contact information in Find a Band that is different than what you want ACB to use. So it's for bands, the Find a Band is what you're making public, where the membership directory itself is only available to members. So all member bands can be listed in the Find a Band directory. They just have to go fill out the form and answer the first question saying, yes, we want to be included. And again, that form is in the members area of the website. And so someone with access to the band's account needs to log in and fill that form out. I
Sarah,
hope
is
that
there
answers your
anything
question.
you wanted to highlight today?
We should highlight that, so if you want to jump to, I think it's slide 10. We had our band builders manual had been a member benefit for many years. And this past year, go one more, Nancy. This past year, committee has revamped it, and just this week, hot off the presses, so to speak, is the blueprint for starting and maintaining a community band. It is a huge document. This committee spent a lot of time putting things together. It's not a one-size-fits-all type document. It has a lot in it. It's intended to use as you need. A band just starting out doesn't need everything that's in it, but it's divided into these 4 major sections, or 5 or several major sections. I can't count. But kind of the missions and the general operations, things about members and your membership. Do you have dues? Do you not have dues? What, do you have to come to so many rehearsals to be a member? Things that vary from band to band. And then there's a lot about how to structure your organization, what committees a band might have, what positions you would have. And then there's some appendices with a variety of samples to help you out, and highlighted 2 of them of, looking for a new conductor. What questions do you ask? How do you have that process? And then there are some sample budgets. If you go to the next slide, Nancy, this is the table of contents. I know you can't read it. I just wanted to highlight that there's a lot there. So it is in the members area of the website. Go check it out. The people on the committee, their names and email addresses are on the front cover. I blocked them out for this presentation, and they're more than happy to talk to you. And we had some available in this session to answer questions, but we are running short on time. But there's a lot there. We know that not every band needs what's there. Don't go, gee, we don't have someone to handle, manning a table to do whatever at a concert. That's okay. This isn't intended that every band needs to have these things. It's just, if you wanted to have these things, what might you put as responsibilities and whatnot? So there's a lot there to get through, and it's something to revisit from time to time. I'm mindful of everybody's time, so I don't really want to hit on too many other things unless there are questions. If you want to jump to the last slide.
Is this the last slide?
No, one more. So and so just to let everybody know that, there are, the previous slide talked about intangibles, things that we can't measure from communicating. But on the website, we have a page on how to contact us. And so if you need help with certain things, there are certain people to contact. And so that page kind of breaks it down as what you may or may not, or who you need to talk to, their email addresses and phone numbers, depending. And then we have another group of people who are available to help members and just communicate with, and those are our regional membership coordinators. And those are members who help out with communication and recruitment in their area. And so on the website, there's a list by state of different people who are also available to answer questions or just kind of help you out where you are. And for those of you who are members and what might like to help ACB out in a way with communicating with others, I'm always looking for more people to help as regional membership coordinators, so you can drop me a note. And yeah, there's several benefits we didn't talk about. You may, as Nancy went through, you may have seen some of the slides. We'll probably get to them at some other point in the future, but they're all available on the website, and you can ask me questions at any point.
Thanks, Sarah. Sorry to put you in the position of having to talk so fast.
Yeah, and I apologize if I spoke so fast that you didn't understand me.
Well, I think it's all good information, and I know you're up to date on all of these benefits, and if anybody has any questions, they can call you, they can contact you via email, and your email is in the chat. I saw it go by earlier.
Yep, and it's also on the website.
I would encourage everybody to get in touch with Sarah if you have any questions about benefits. So, okay, well, I am going to turn this back over to our president-elect, Gail Brechting, and thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Nancy. Wow, we're really grateful to learn more about the Naxos Library and all of the other member resources. It's nice to be refreshed. I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to Mr. John Sells for sharing his expertise of the Naxos Music Library. I'd also like to offer a special thanks to our moderator, Nancy Michalek, as well as to Sarah Mcelfresh, Tom Rotundi, and the whole ACB Connects team. If you're not a member of ACB and you'd like to join, now's the perfect time. You'll find the details on how to join, along with a list of member benefits by selecting the Join button on the ACB website homepage. If you're already a member and you're looking for a unique gift and unexpected gift for a special musician in your life, consider gifting them a membership to the Association of Concert Bands. It's the perfect gift for student musicians as well, to fully introduce them to community bands and music for life. Membership at the student, individual, family, and life levels include a free membership to the Naxos Music Library, which we just learned was a world-class music streaming service that can be accessed via the website or a mobile app. Members also receive our amazing journal. To give someone the gift of an ACB membership, visit our website and click on Gift a Membership under the announcements. For general information, as you've heard about ACB, or to access all the links mentioned today, including access to previously recorded sessions of ACB Connects, please visit our website homepage at acbands.org. There you can also find more details for future ACB Connect sessions. We'd also love to have you follow us on Facebook. You'll see several new postings each week with releases of information about ACB and banding worldwide. Thank you for being with us today for this special opportunity to form new connections and learn what your membership can do for you. On behalf of the Association of Concert Bands Board of Directors and the ACB Connects team, we are proud to serve you and hope to see you again at the next session of ACB Connects. Have a good night.